Alright guys, today I'm going to teach you how to shoot a recurve bow and actually hit the target in the first time you pick it up. Let's go check it out. Alright, first things first, you want to get close. I'm about 7 yards away from the target. It's a good starting point. You want to start close because you can't shoot this thing as well as you shoot your compound bow, which is fine. When I started learning this, I did too. If you clicked on this video, it's because you bought one of these because you thought it'd be fun and you realized it's nothing like your compound bow. That's okay. They are easy to learn. Now, when you go buy these at like your archery shop, they probably don't set things up right for you. My experience was really bad. Not saying that was a bad archery shop, but they had no clue how to shoot a bow like this. They knew how to set up a compound and get you tight groups, but this thing was just so foreign to them. Yeah, no clue. So I suggest 7 yards. Another thing, next step is grip. You need a 3-under grip. I don't care what archery shops say. They always want to tell you to do split finger. At least the one I was at did. Bad idea. Anyone who shot competitively with these, 3-under is the way to start. You can then move, but 3-under, because, get it here, you want to go and you can go right under your chin. So, and that puts the arrow underneath your eye. It's going to give you a better angle, okay, at the target. Second thing you're going to want to do is aim low. So I'm going to take the point of this arrow and put it at the bottom of that target to start. As you can tell, I'm a little bit to the left, or to the right, but up and down, not too bad. So now you can adjust your aim. So, I might have been a hair low. So what I'm gonna do is take my next arrow, aim a little higher. This time I'm gonna put the point of my arrow right underneath, right where the bag and the ground meet. And it's not too bad right there. I'm not shooting very good groups today, but I'm on camera. So, the anchor is key. If you don't anchor correctly and have a consistent anchor point, none of this is going to make any sense. But always anchor underneath your eye. Now, a lot of people will do string crawl, and I did string crawl. That's great for target, not for hunting. I don't think that's a good hunting strategy at all. Gap shooting is the way to learn it. String crawl slows your arrow down so much that even though I have taken game with string crawl method or fixed crawl method, I just don't feel like you're getting the most out of your bow. Now that one was dead on. Now, when you release the bow, you're gonna wanna just let go of the string. And you're gonna have to work on this. But step 1, 3 is close. Step 2, 3-under. Step 4 is aim low. And these have been tuned. And I know I've been shooting this a while, so I'm able to shoot well. But that's how you got to do it. You got to aim low, because everyone I've ever give this bow to that's never shot traditional archery always wants to walk up and just put the arrow, tip of the arrow on the target, and they shoot way high. Because even though you see the arrow like this, it's actually tilted up. So You shoot, it goes way over your target. You always want to start aiming a tad bit low. 3 under, right here, okay? And you can tell right there, I'm getting right underneath my eye. I do have a kisser button on mine as a nose button. That's something new I just did. You don't really need that, especially if you're just beginning. But these hacks are something I wish I'd have known, because if you're like me, you bought this bow, you lost a bunch of arrows, and you realized, how in the world did anyone ever kill anything with this? And then all of a sudden, after trial, error, you start picking up on it. Because I mean, you type in YouTube, how to shoot a recurve bow, and you get all these instinctive guys that just say, stare down your target, burn a hole through your target, and it'll go right where you want it. And that's just not gonna happen. Not saying these guys are bad or they don't know what they're doing, but they don't even recognize the aiming method they're using. And again, as you shoot, your gap becomes easier and easier. Again, start out close, 7 yards, work your way to 10 yards. You'll get it a lot quicker using this method. All right, last thing I'm going to talk about, and a way you can start hitting the target with your recurve bow the first time you take it out, is arrow, okay? So if you just buy your standard arrows like these are Bloodsport Extreme, Hunter Extreme, sorry. You're going to shoot high. You're used to shooting a compound setup, and you're probably shooting very, very light arrows. Okay, light arrows, in theory, would make it easier to aim because they don't have as much drop. You would think, okay, once I get my gap, I'll be good. I'll be able to back up far, far, far back there, and I'll be able to shoot easy. That's not reality. Reality is a heavier arrow is easier. If you look at traditional carbon arrows, now that sounds weird from people who are maybe watching this, have been hunting for a long time, but the arrows made by companies for traditional archery that are carbon, they usually have a wood outgrain on them, they are heavier than your average arrow. They are usually at 10 all the way up to 12 grains per inch. That is going to benefit you because your gap's going to shrink. So that point and where it's going to impact are going to shrink as the arrow gets heavier. My suggestion, start out with a 10 grains per inch arrow. So you have your bow, let's say you started out 45 pounds. That's where I started out. That's where I suggest anyone who shoots about 70-pound draw to start out. 7 is at 45 pounds. You want at least a 450 grain arrow, if not a 500 grain arrow. How do you accomplish that? Well, again, traditional arrows that you're going to find at your archery shop are going to give you a good start at like 10 grains per inch, maybe 9 if you're at a 500 spine. I don't remember because I haven't bought those arrows for a long time, but I remember Carbon Express traditional arrows were extraordinarily heavy compared to their compound line of arrows, which is good. Then you're going to put on a tip. That's a 300 grain tip. That's going to go into arrow tuning. I don't suggest you arrow tune very much at the very beginning of this because you're going to lose a lot of arrows or you're going to get really, really close. But again, you're going to want at least 10, if not 12, 13 grains per inch. I prefer to add that all to the front for a high FOC arrow, but that's going to cost more money. That's going to cost you tuning. When you get better, I suggest doing that. And again, string crawling might not be a bad idea for guys who are just learning it, but if you're really wanting to hunt with these bows, I think you need to really put some time and effort and get a high FOC arrow for hunting, if not a ultra FOC arrow. But that's how you start. Heavy arrow, the 3, and guys, these are not all in particular order, but you're going to need a heavy arrow to start with. You're going to want to start close. I mean, even if you can't do it, go to 7 yards. Go to 5 yards if you have to start. And then go go 3 under. Do not listen to the guy at the archery shop that he might have the ultra cool bow and he might be able to shoot 3D all day long with that bow, and he says he has a recurve and he goes and plays with it in his backyard. He's not a hunter with a recurve, and that's fine. If you don't want to hunt with these, that's fine. But if you want to actually gain some proficiency with this bow, 3 under is gonna be it. Everyone who uses a 3 under I've seen has just been a little bit more accurate. And then you're gonna want a bow you can handle. My suggestion is start with a 45-pound bow if you're at a 70 draw. If you're at 60, maybe a 40. If you're at a 55, I mean, you might want to start at 30 pounds. Being overbowed is a big problem, and you're going to notice it. So a lighter bow to start with is always great. And again, you should already, everyone will tell you that part. Everyone will tell you start close, but what not everyone will tell you is 3 under, anchor right underneath your eye consistently, and then take that tip of that arrow and put it low and make sure it's a heavy arrow. Those 3 things will save you tons of time. It'll make you look like a better archer than what you are. When I started, I was buying normal arrows and shooting them and couldn't figure out why they weren't flying. The guys at the archery shops were like, well, that's a heavy arrow. That's a 450 whatever grain arrow. And you know, they thought that was heavy. It's not. And as you shoot, and there's no way to get around it, is you just got to shoot. But if you take in those 3 tips, again, 3 under, aim low, 3 under, aim low, and stay close, you're going to have a lot more success with this bow, and it's going to keep you going instead of getting flustered with it. Again, fixed crawl, not a bad idea. I hunted with it, it worked, I killed game with it. I just don't think it's as effective as doing your heavy arrow in a straight gap shooting. And again, if you feel like you want to get more power by doing a split finger, that's always an option to work up to. But what you're going to notice, like I did when you go split finger, it increased your gap, which then increased aiming. And the bigger your gap, the harder it is to shoot close. So take all these into consideration. Again, low draw weight, start close. Everyone knows that. But 3 under, get the arrow close, heavy arrow. Even the best archer, his name escapes me, that shoots aspirin out of the air. If you see the way his arrows move, they're not moving very fast. And that's probably because he knows the hack. So this is how you hack and shoot a recurve and be accurate on your first try. If you like this video, press that like button. It helps us out. If you want to see more content like this, subscribe. We are coming out with new videos every week, and we are pushing everything for the modern compound shooter to the traditional shooter to just the guys who want to go out and have fun in the outdoors, and you know, just tons of stuff. So, and remember to always keep it heavy. Bullseye.